second, 12 in a row. The oldest team in professional baseball has its 5th ever winning streak of a dozen straight.
Our job every day is to try to kick somebody's ass. I mean, that's why we're here.
That is caught, left center, Reds win!
And this ball is launched high and very deep to right, long gone. It's second of the night, Elly De La Cruz.
Short lead for Pena. Larkin drills it. Do you believe this? It's going to be gone. Back to back. Walk-off home runs. How about this? Aaron is back. He's back. He's back.
And a swing and a drive. Deep left field. This one belongs to the Reds. Swung on and hit deep to left field. That ball is going to be gone. Home run. And the Reds put it 5-4.
Goes the second one. Around the first. Got a double play. And the Reds sweep the Cubs. Breaking ball. Hit high. Hit deep. Way back there. And gone. Into the second deck and left. Christian Encarnacion Strand walks it off.
Karcher does it in his major league debut. He gets the final 3 outs, and the Reds get an extra inning win. A thriller 5-4.
Swung on. Fly ball. Hit the deep right field. That ball is going to be gone. A grand slam home run by Mike Cameron.
2 outs, 2 on. Reds down by 1. Larkin down the line. It's a winner. It's a winner. Here comes Tucker. Here comes Steins. Larkin's won the game. Barry Larkin gets mobbed. Look at this scene. It's synergy.
The stretch, the pause in the pitch, and a line drive, base hit left center field. A single for Aaron Boone, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won 8 in a row.
Kobayashi with a long look turns it loose, and Dunn hits it to deep right. It's all over, and this one belongs to the Reds. The Reds have won their 5th game in a row. They've defeated the Cleveland Indians on an Adam Dunn 3-run home run, 4-2. In on the corners at first and third. 2 on, nobody out. Here's Royce Ring pitching, no bunt. Ground ball, by the third baseman into left field. Jake Fraley rounds third, and this one belongs to the Reds.
That's hit pretty good. Guess what? He doesn't need speed. That's gone. He's the king of the Queen City tonight.
With 1 out here in the 11th inning, you sure got to go now.
1 out, pull down the left field line. That ball is going to get the winning run in. Here comes Jay Bruce rounding third, heading toward the plate, and this one belongs to the Reds.
Huge situation for Votto. Why you pay him the big bucks to deliver the goods with 2 outs in the 9th inning? Can he do it? In the gap, right center field, and Votto delivers the goods.
Hit deep center field. And Gil going back at the warning track. Oh, he gets one. It's gone. Joey Votto is delivered.
Happy Thursday, Chatterbox Sports fans and Reds fans alike. I'm Alex. He's Austin. Tonight's a big night, Austin. Tell me.
It is.
I'm gonna tell you 3 things, and you let me know how many of these you knew.
All right, I'm ready.
It's Paul Skenes night.
Knew that.
Brian Hayes returns to Pittsburgh.
I didn't think about that, but I guess I knew that.
And there's 3 Chatterbox shows tonight, and we're the leadoff hole. We're in the leadoff spot.
Are we more of the Brian Hayes or Paul Skenes of that lineup? I guess we'll see.
Well, Paul Skenes, of course.
By performance.
No, I'm not here to compare.
Yeah.
It's just an exciting night in Chatterbox land. For those who don't know, the Bengals play tonight. I think they play the Eagles. Don't kill me, chat. I'm not in full season Bengals mode yet, but we have Chatterbox pregame show, Chatterbox Reds postgame show, and a postgame show for the Bengals with Reed Mouse and Craig Sandlin. So it's a big night tonight for all of us at Chatterbox. It's a big night for the Reds, too, facing Skenes, I believe, for the second time. Austin, what do you think about tonight's Reds game?
I mean, it's always tough when you're going up against Skenes. I guess the only thing I was looking at, if you're a Reds fan, that'd probably give you a little bit of, I don't know, hope, I guess. his last outing wasn't super great. I think he gave up like 5 runs over or 5 innings and maybe 4 earned runs, I think. So I don't know. It's one of those deals where if we can get to him early, like you get past Skenes and then hopefully you feel pretty good about yourself. But it's going to be one of those nights, man, that it's probably going to be hard to get a lot of runs on the board. I guess the only good news is if you're looking at the ebbs and flows of the week, they didn't score all but 1 yesterday. So they're kind of due to score some runs again. But I don't know. What do you think, guys?
That's exactly how it's been the last year, this year, especially in the last couple of years. Yeah, it's going to be a tough night. You mentioned right there at the beginning, though, Skenes had a rough outing the last time out. So, he's not superhuman. He's not Superman by any means. And you know what? I'm not a huge fan of Skenes only because, and maybe he's not as good, right? I just get a little personal with my players. People didn't think Chase Burns was as good. I just thought Chase Burns, if he had a supermodel girlfriend, he may be in the same category, but
it's got to help.
It's got to help for sure. But people just elevate him to like the next level, and it's like blah blah blah. It's like, no, he's human just like everybody else. The Reds can and hopefully will score some runs against him tonight. But I think what's going to take, Austin, and you let me know, I think it's going to take the home run ball.
Well, the Reds might be in trouble if that's the case, but I hope so, man.
And I saw prepping for the show, and I'll shout him out because he overall, I think he's a good guy. I saw Lance McAllister posted on X that the Reds and Nationals are tied for last in home runs in the month of August. Each team has only had 3 home runs this month. So not great.
As they say, they're due, though, right? That's,
Well, exactly. And, and if the wind,
especially if you look at the whole season.
Yeah. And if the wind would have been blowing out in Chicago instead of in, for sure, Hayes, Trevino, and I think Marte would all have home runs. So, it's possible. So, anyway, we go on. The Reds have played decently against the Pirates this year. They're 4-2 against the Pirates, though, as we've noted, they haven't yet to face Paul Skenes this year. This series was almost inevitable based on the four game series. So they're 4-2 this year against the Pirates. And you and I were joking prior to the stream starting. They've not played well in PNC Park the last few years. 5-15 against the Pirates and PNC Park since 2022. Austin, your thoughts on that?
It's just one of those things that's frustrating as a Reds fan. And I feel like I've said it all season and probably even in the past seasons where it's like they almost play up to the good teams and down to the bad teams. And it's like you look at the Pirates over the past, 10 years or so, and it's like probably had a lot of success there, right? It's like, nope, not at all, really.
Exactly.
It's just silly, man. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, especially if you're in the wild card hunt like the Reds are, it's like you got to capitalize against these type of teams. And granted that you're facing one of the best pitchers in MLB tonight, so it's not as easy as just saying the Pirates are bad and you got to win. But I don't know. It's just you'd like to see that number obviously be better, and I think they definitely need it to be better this series if they want to stay in contention.
Yeah, so we talked enough about Paul Skenes. I'm going to maybe someone in the chat. Can you do a counter, please? How many times I say Skenes? Because I really don't want to say.
There's not much else to talk about the Pirates.
Yeah, the Pirates, there's like a Skenes show, and that's it. Oneil Cruz isn't even good. I mean, he had a good home run derby, but we have the better Cruz. Let's talk about our pitcher on the mound tonight, Florida Gator, and just overall good guy, Brady Singer. What's your overall thoughts? You and I really haven't talked this season. What's your thoughts on Singer overall? And then, of course, the last couple outings, he's been great.
Yeah, overall, I would say he's about what I expected, right? I mean, we kind of figured we were getting a guy that was middle of the rotation, innings eater type of guy. And outside of a couple starts, I mean, he's been pretty much that. And to your point, he's probably over skewed on his average recently. So I don't know. I think it's been a good pickup for the Reds. I think not that you really need to save your bullpen after yesterday. Most of the guys got rest, but he's one of those guys where, you can plug him in and pretty much be sure you're not going to, and I say all this, he'll probably leave the game in like the 4th inning now.
No,
but like, Yeah, knock on wood. But he's one of those guys that can at least get you like 5 solid innings and save your bullpen into the rest of the series, which will help because I think it's, especially with the Reds, man, they can get into a stretch where they like overuse Santillan, Pagan, like back to back to back to back. And it's just like, okay. So I don't know if they can at least, remain competitive. And I think if they're going to stay in this game, they got to make it at least probably close. You're going to need a good outing out of Singer for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing. And we've talked about it. The trade deadline was about a week ago now, or it was a week ago. The Reds just couldn't address the bullpen, and they sort of did with the Littell deal and sending Martinez back, but we all know about Lodolo. Hopefully Hunter Green comes back here in the next week or so, and all signs are pointing that he will. But, man, they just been killing the bullpen and killing Santillan and Pagan especially, and, of course, I wouldn't trust Graham Ashcraft, to babysit my dog. But getting back to Singer – what a great pickup. I really, really been a great trade. Weimer's on another team now, not that he was the big pickup for the Royals. But India's been darn near awful, which is kind of surprising based on the stadium he went to and the field he went to. But the last 2 outings, Singer went 6 last Friday. He went 7 the start before. Now, the start before that was the blow up in D.C., but that was post All-Star break, I believe. So you just never know what, with how that would affect him. But I think we can get a good, solid 6+ innings tonight, like you said, save some of the bullpen, get off to a good lead. And John says it here, pitching and bullpen's not the problem. I mean, sure, I would agree. The Reds aren't hitting great. We know that. But I think some of the additions they made can help it. Austin, we have the lineup here in the middle. What's your thoughts? Who's your guys that you want to see pop off? We've seen a couple times this year, and I'll let you answer the question. But we've seen a couple times this year where everyone's gone cold all at once. There's a couple guys that are cold. Not to, I'll mention just one of them, Austin Hayes. But tell me, who's your guys tonight? Who do you think is gonna have a good night tonight?
Yeah, I really like the way Steer's been playing over the past week or so. I mean, especially that Cubs series. I guess you can't really point to yesterday's game for anybody having a super great game, but just overall, I think Steer, he's starting to get it together. It seems like he's hitting for a little more power lately too, which hopefully helps their home run performance that we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Hayes is one of those guys too that I just feel like he's not going to be what he's been recently forever. You know what I mean? If that even makes sense. But I think he's one of those guys that he's a professional enough hitter to where that, you can rely on him to provide that 4-hole kind of pop that you need. Now, he's been playing DH a little bit, been playing left field a little bit, so maybe playing out in the field and, jump starts him a little bit tonight. We'll see what happens. It's always hard when you're going against Paul Skenes. Say it again, get the counter up there. But no, I don't know. I would say if I had to pick a guy, I would say Steer just based on how he's been playing. But then the guy that you brought up, Hayes, I think, he's just bound to start playing better than he has been too. But I don't know. Who do you got? You're never going to find a guy. Actually, you might. Everett Henry. Shout out Everett Henry, big time Chatterbox fan. Active on X, active on the Discord for those who belong to the Discord. How can you not hate Spencer Steer? I know Everett's a huge Steer fan. I love watching Steer play, especially at first base as defense, but we're talking hitting. All right. I think people give him it's kind of unfair to Steer. Had a big time series in Chicago's. To me, it's super clutch. I'll never forget that walk-off homer against the Padres a couple years back, but let's get back to the present. Would love to see him stay hot. Obviously, Marte needs to get back and hitting the way he has or was earlier in the year. But really, there's two guys, and I hate doing it, but Gavin Lux, man, I was so high on him coming up through the season. I remember when the Reds traded for him, if you guys remember, it was like January 6th or something, Austin. We had just, for those who live in Southwest Ohio, we just got a huge snowstorm.
I was so jacked about it. I just had to go listen to Nick and Craig that I went out and just go shovel snow just to go listen to YouTube. I was so excited. And for the most part, like he's been a good hitter, but like no power to speak of. And lately he's just been striking out like crazy. And of course he has no position. I would love to see him get more doubles, a bigger park like PNC Park, not a super small bandbox like Great American. He might be able to squeak a couple hits out this series. I see in the chat who put it up there. I think it was Lance George, possibly. Elly was 2 for 20 in Chicago. Elly needs to get back going. And really, I feel like these guys, if they can get hot, stick around, Austin. This is where we can make the playoff push. They're not too far back from the Mets, Padres, and Cubs. And I'll include all three. I'm not afraid to, because you just never know, what could happen in a week or so, or a given week in September.
Yeah, and it's typical Reds fans. I think sometimes we act like the sky's falling and all's lost, and then you look up at the standings and we're 3 games out the wild card. So they're definitely still in it by every kind of way you want to look at it there. I don't look at the division as much because that just seems like more of a lost cause, obviously, but I just
the Brewers have it, which just
so it's like whenever I pull up the standing, it's a quick switch over to the wild card tab rather than the division one. But I mean, hey, last I heard, you still get in the playoffs if you win the wild card. So get us in. We'll see what we can do. And to your point, it's like I feel like they got the guys that maybe aren't going to be the best over 162, but like I can see him doing well over a playoff stretch. And Luck's like. Ironically, he's playing DH tonight because I was going to kind of say I agree with he doesn't have a position in the field, but that was kind of the deal when we got him. I thought too. It's like, well, are they going to try to make him an outfielder? Is he going to play third or second? So I don't know. It's one of those guys that's good to have flexibility, but it's almost like no consistent position essentially.
And I don't want to spend too much time on Gavin Lux, even though he's getting a lot of play in the chat and getting a lot of play, I think, on socials. But I remember Trace talking about it, I think back in January, maybe even earlier in the season. They had just traded India for Singer at Thanksgiving. Then the Dodgers have to get rid of Lux because they signed, I think it was a Korean player to play second base. And then I assume, and maybe I'm wrong, but the Dodgers coveted the Sirota kid. And I'm not going to go down the path of how great he is. I wish he was a Reds prospect. I don't really care. But think about it, if you're Nick Krall, I just traded Mike Sirota, Joey Weimer, and a comp pick for Brady Singer. And basically, Lux is your India replacement who's already played left field, who can play third base. India was a second baseman and that wasn't going to move off. We saw him play a little bit of that in Kansas City and just didn't work out. So anyway, Gavin Lux, hopefully he can turn it around. Elly needs to turn it around here to keep up with the playoff push. But man, if all these guys can get hot, Austin, if these guys can get hot the back half of this month and into September, the Reds can compete, and I'm buying my playoff tickets.
Yeah, and the disappointing thing is I feel like I've been saying that for like 3 months now. But but I think you're right 100%. And like it's one of those things where like I think their pitching's at a good enough spot to where you can kind of trust it to be pretty good. And even with like the guys that we have, we're still playing without Hunter Green being back, and who knows what you get with him once he's back, just health wise, and who knows if Lodolo's blister callusks over, whatever you want to say, before his next time he's back. But it's like if the hitting's the missing piece, and like I don't know, coming into the year, like I thought you could make the argument that Matt McClain would be one of our best players, and like if he could be a shade of that, I think it's huge for this team. And all the other guys you mentioned too, I agree.
Well, and you think about it, and we're kind of looking through our rose-colored glasses a little bit. If there's a time to get hot, it's now. And they've puttered around 500. I mean, they're still 5 games above 500. Now you say that, and there's some teams almost 20 games over, but they've got a decent lead over that next crew, which is the Giants and Cardinals. I just think that there's a chance, and I think this team can put it together to at least sneak into the second or third wild card spot. Let's see here. We got about 10 minutes to go, chat. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. This is my third time this week doing it, so I'm running low on some talking points because I've already talked about everybody else in the lineup this week. But I'm excited for the Reds Pirates series this weekend. I think these 4-game series are fun. Austin, anything that comes to your mind, I don't want to hog the mic here. Anything that comes to your mind, getting you ready for this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it earlier. The only thing I guess we should probably be hitting on, I guess, the Bryan Hayes return to Pittsburgh a little bit more. And I thinking off of that, I mean, especially after that game 2 days ago in Chicago, Hayes had a good game. Andar had a pretty good game. And that was the Littell game too. So it's like, you're almost looking at these trade, deadline guys that we got. It's like, all right, like we actually got some decent pieces here. So obviously it's a very small sample size and I'm not going to judge it and say it was an A+ trade deadline. But I mean, to your point, if these guys are going to make a run, like those guys could be very key. Andujar's not in the lineup tonight, obviously. But I think he'll probably end up pinch hitting at some point. I don't know. Those guys have just looked good to me. I mean, I know Bryan Hayes is kind of a project on offense. The defense started off a little bad, but I think, he's showing signs of what we thought he could do. So I don't know. Those are kind of the X factors for me, at least in this series. And obviously we'll see what I imagine Bryan Hayes has a lot of motivation playing against Pittsburgh so quickly, especially after the deadline too. It's been like a week or a little bit over that, I guess, but what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Bryan Hayes, he wasn't someone I was targeting. Obviously, like it's been well documented that he isn't a great offensive player, but hits well enough and just plays fantastic defense to be I wouldn't say like a first division starter or something, but tell me which team in our division he wouldn't start on.
Right.
To me, that tells you something.
Cardinals maybe, but
yeah, maybe the Cardinals, but they're paying Nolan Arenado a lot more money than Bryan Hayes, but
right.
That he was a guy, not like his profile was someone who I was targeting. I just didn't feel like this Reds core had enough talent to like take the next step, whether it's the back half of this year or next year. I think they needed help. Now, what was interesting was I was more targeting an outfielder because I felt like that's where it was. But what's that tell you? That Sal Stewart isn't probably going to be your third baseman long term, obviously. So where does Sal Stewart end up? That's a different show, or a different topic for a different day. But I love that they added a guy who's going to be here for 5 years, just to add to the core. And he's a super young guy. I think he was drafted the same year as Tyler Stephenson. So I'm glad they were able to pull that off. And really, to me, they didn't give much up for him.
Yeah, they didn't give up much, and I think they got pretty creative with it. Even with Hayes and with Littell, it's like not immediate needs. I mean, you could argue, I guess we kind of needed defense at third base, I would say, but we definitely really didn't need like a starter at the time. But it kind of allowed some flexibility to where, all right, you get a starter with Littell, you move Martinez to the bullpen, and this is after, or I guess before the injury to Lodolo, but it kind of fixed your bullpen depth problem, right, when you sent Martinez out there. So it's kind of creative ways to fix that. We kind of needed an outfielder, but you get Hayes for third, you put Marte out in right field, and then, kind of add some flexibility there. So it's an interesting way to kind of solve what they needed to, and maybe it's similar in the Lux, move I would put in that category of like, you didn't expect him to get that kind of guy, but it's almost like a benefit to the overall. I don't know if do you ever play like Madden Ultimate Team where it shows like your team rating and it's like, oh, you optimize your team by putting these guys in the lineup, and then, you get like a 98 overall. It's like the sum of like all the teams just got better, but like it's a very weird like puzzle of like how they're putting it together essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly a good point. Because Marte certainly wasn't going to be a long-term third baseman. So they had to do something there and bring someone in. I'm going to shout out SP Hobby here. I heard this exact same thing from Francona. Excuse me. Francona was saying that a lot of his hits, and I haven't looked into it, but he hits a lot of balls to right field. And they were hoping that with the short porch and right at Great American Ballpark, that some of those hits or fly ball outs may turn into home runs. So it's an interesting play, and certainly is a creative way to to add to your team because they certainly did it. We've already seen it on the defensive side. I see some talk in the chat about college football. Lance George, I'm on your side on that. Anything else?
Go Bucks.
Any other questions? Let's take 5 minutes for any questions. I see some scores. Score predictions for tonight. I'm really hoping for a Cabrian Hayes revenge series. That's what I'm rooting for and watching for tonight. Another thing I'm looking forward to tonight, Austin, is at 6:40 start time.
Get start a little bit early. I don't know what the Shadows play like at PNC compared to Great American.
I don't care about that. I just want to go to bed early.
Well, yeah. I mean, even with the 7:10 starts of the way that baseball is now, man, you get done pretty quick. But
you can get about 10 o'clock. So, no, it's good. It's gonna be a fun series. Hopefully, the Reds can pull out at least 3 or 4. I'm gonna pull up the out of town scoreboard. We talked about earlier the Padres, Mets. They are not playing tonight, so the Reds can gain a half game on the teams on front of us, which would bring us to 2.5 if the Reds can win tonight, which is huge. It would go to 2.5 tonight for the Mets, and then 3.5 for the Padres, and then we would lose that half game for the Cubs. It's a huge game. Jacob Doyle does put a question in here. Do you think that Burns goes to the bullpen instead of Martinez if Lodolo is out longer than we want? So let's talk through that, Austin. We have Andrew Abbott, Brady Singer, Zach Littell, Chase Burns, and Nick Martinez currently, right? That's 5. Lodolo's out. Hunter Green's coming back. Per Charlie Goldsmith, no free ads on his new podcast, he mentioned that Martinez is going back to the bullpen, per what he has heard. And then what happens to Chase Burns or Littell when our friend Nick Lodolo comes back? Yeah, 100%, Jake. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you. That's assuming Green comes back 100%.
Right.
I think Burns is probably going to the bullpen eventually. Not again, just for this year, not long term. And Hunter Green could be back within the next week and a half. So Martinez is going back to the bullpen. And then what do you do with Burns once Lodolo, if and when Lodolo comes back? So Martinez seems to be the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think just based on past performance and kind of what they've done with Martinez, that obviously makes sense too. And he's kind of proven he can do that role. The thing for Burns is like, I could almost see a scenario where they don't even put him in the bullpen. They can just send him down. And that sucks. I think they should keep him on this team, but like, I don't know if he's comfortable with coming out of the bullpen. You think he would be, and he's got stuff that could probably work out there, but we've just never seen it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I don't know.
I would find that hard to believe. I would be shocked. I would say this. I think you have a better chance of a bullpen day with Burns being the starter than
like a long relief type scenario.
No. Yeah. Like you would have, maybe he would pitch 2 innings, and then either you do your bullpen game with a Martinez doing the bulk, or, you just a traditional bullpen game, or maybe you have a guy or 2 that's doing 2 innings and that's it. But I would find it very hard to believe that Burns is going back down to AAA.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope not. You just don't know how that fits in the bullpen. Like until we see it type of deal. But I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I think Chase Burns is a huge part of this future of this team. I just don't know. I mean, if they'll do that, to be honest. But.
Yeah, and I want to keep on Burns, and we have another question from Sean Frost here. Jacob, I agree. If we make the playoffs, if the Reds make the playoffs, Burns has to be on the roster.
Yeah.
He has to be on the roster. So Sean Frost puts in here, any thoughts on trading McClain? Is that a reality in your eyes? Hasn't looked the same since injury, and plenty of people in the org who can play second better. Austin, I'll let you take this, and then I will answer it.
The thing that stinks is if they are going to trade him, his value probably plummeted over the course of this year. Now, don't get me wrong. I think we'd probably still get some interest, but no, I don't see them trading him. I'd be shocked, to be honest. But I don't know. I mean, they've given him such a long leash this year that it almost seems like they definitely want it to work out with him. But I don't see him getting traded at least, and obviously not, anytime the rest of this year. But I don't know.
So a couple things I have on this. Number one, you're right. I think his value plummeted a little bit, not as much as I think you would think. I did see some like back rumors. I shouldn't even say this, but there were some back rumors on the old X app about maybe the Diamondbacks were trying to push the Reds to trade him for Geno. Seems pretty steep for me, especially based on what they got. So I doubt it. Maybe that wasn't even true. Speaking of Geno, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not an orthopedic, certainly. So but I know they both had shoulder injuries. It took Geno about 2 years to get over that. Now, he was certainly older, maybe a little bit different type of injury. I think this is par for the course. And Aram Layton from Just Baseball compared Matt McClain a couple of weeks back, or maybe about a month plus ago, to Tyler O'Neill of the Orioles now. Used to play for the Red Sox and Cardinals. It's like, man, that's might be like par for the course. He's got power. He hasn't shown it as much this year as we would like, but he's got some good power. He plays good defense, but he's just going to strike out. Like, he's not his body type doesn't match the player he is, and that's okay. So no, I don't think he's going to get traded because, quite frankly, I don't think Edwin Arroyo can play or hit better than him even right now. Everyone's going to point to Sal Stewart, but we'll see. I think that there's some outfield there. One of them could go to the outfield, but we'll see long-term what happens. But no, I don't think I would highly doubt that McClain goes anywhere.
Yeah. Remember, I guess, wasn't towards the end of last year, maybe the fall league, McClain was like getting some starts out in the outfield, and everybody's like, oh, they're going to move him to the outfield. That didn't really happen, obviously. But I think, honestly, like, to your point, I think he's such a good like athlete that he could probably do it, but I don't know.
Well, he played outfield at UCLA his freshman year, and then moved back to short. And then really, Austin, the only reason he played outfield last year in the fall league was so that he could get more at bats. You're limited for at bats in the fall league, just so every team, every player gets some advantage. So, all right, we're kind of at our mark here. Yeah, totally. Marte, to me, really is the number 2 guy. They should try to extend him. Him and Elly, to me, are really the what's going to turn this team. Then I think McClain's number 3. Again, I'm a big Steer guy, so I think it's unfair to compare him to like a normal first baseman just because we don't have one, power-wise, hitting-wise, and really he's just here to play, right? So, Austin, before we sign off, any final thoughts about tonight's game, about the series, just about the state of the Reds?
No, man. Like I said earlier, though, I think they just got to start out hot if they want a chance to win tonight. I think I can't remember who put it in the chat. Leadoff home run by TJ Friedl would be a very good way to get that started. So I'm on board. I hope that happens. Obviously, the good news is you're not facing Paul Skenes the rest of the series. So hopefully after tonight, even if they don't win, you got some good luck coming. But those are my thoughts, I guess. I'm looking forward to a good series.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun series. It's always fun. To me, it's fun, guys. It's fun when we have another option tonight to watch other than Bengals preseason. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
And you hope that doesn't surpass the Reds game tonight, but I don't think it will.
That's my point. Any other year, in years past, everyone was so excited. Oh, the Bengals are playing tonight. We get to watch Desmond Ritter. He's going to play quarterback for the Bengals. Who cares, man? We got the Reds in a playoff hunt. The Reds are in a playoff hunt. Let's watch the Reds tonight. Hopefully they can, take us, help us in the promised land tonight. The Reds are going to win. They're going to get within 2.5 of the Mets. And we're going to be celebrating with Nick and Trace in the postgame show. And then after that, I guess we will hear Reed and Craig talk about Desmond Ritter, Chase Brown, Andre Yosevas, the Burton kid, and hopefully Shamar Stewart getting a sack. We'll see. But tonight's all about the Reds. All about the Reds tonight. We'll let the chat go. Austin, thanks for coming on. Thanks for helping us out tonight. And everyone, Go Reds.